Okay, testing microphone 1 2 3 4. Test 1 2 3. Check 1.
I'm still working on the volume. There we go. Alright, try it again.
Check mic 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3 4. Test.
Yep, I hear you. Mic 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3 4.
Check, check. It is 6:30, Tuesday, September 10th, and at this time, I'd like to call our city council meeting to order. We will start with Pledge of Allegiance, and then invocation will be given by 3rd Ward Council Member Angelita Gunn. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So today's meditation. In today's interconnected and globalized world, it is now commonplace for people of dissimilar worldviews, faiths, and races to live side by side. It is a matter of great urgency, therefore, that we find ways to cooperate with one another in a spirit of mutual acceptance and respect. That's the Dalai Lama. Yep.
Thank you. And Madam Clerk, if you will proceed with a roll call, please.
Mayor Mahoney,
Present.
Councilmember Robinson. Present. Vice Mayor Dancy,
Present.
Councilmember Gunn,
Present.
Councilmember Wood,
Present.
Councilmember Hunt,
Present.
Councilmember Forgrave.
Here.
We are all present and accounted for. Next, I'm looking for a motion and support to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. I think we might have to take the, what you call it, down too, because I can't see the results. We won't be able to see the results from the vote. Third time's a charm. It's a good agenda. It deserves to be voted on 3 times. Madam Clerk, if you'll proceed with the roll call vote for us, please.
Mayor Mahoney,
Present. Yes. What are we doing? Yes.
Councilmember Robinson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dancy,
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn,
Yes.
Councilmember Wood,
Yes.
Councilmember Hunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Forgrave.
All right. Agenda is adopted unanimously. That brings us down to presentations and proclamations, which we have none. We have no public hearings, and that brings us down to item number 7, citizens' comment. I will start, as we always do, by reading the rules for speaking before the city council. Number 1, each speaker will state their name and address prior to addressing council. Number 2, each speaker is limited to up to 3 minutes during the citizens' comment portion of the meeting. Council members will not debate or answer questions at this time. Number 3, each speaker should be polite and courteous to the council and the members of the public in attendance. While each speaker and any speaker is free to express his or her opinion on any subject, no speaker may direct personal attacks at any member of the staff or council unrelated to the manner in which they perform their duties, use obscene language while addressing the city council, or engage in disruptive or disorderly behavior during a council meeting. Should any speaker cause a breach of the peace through their conduct, the mayor may declare the speaker out of order. Number speaker is declared out of order by the mayor and refuses to cease and desist from disruptive or disorderly conduct. The mayor may order the person removed from the meeting. Each speaker may speak once under public comment and may not yield their time to others. Ms. Christine Gorton.
Mr. Mayor, council members, community leaders, and those in attendance. Gratitude is what brings me here this evening. I would like to express my thanks on behalf of Jackson Pride for your approval and support of the August 18th event that happened at Horace Blackman Park. We were originally scheduled to host our event during Pride Month, which is June. However, severe weather forecasting convinced us that maybe we should postpone it, and on behalf of public safety, we did. So fortunately, we have another date scheduled, and that was in August. And we, for another event, we were able to combine the two. I'd like to express a special thank you to Melissa Evans from the DDA, who served very well as our advocate for the event and made sure that we crossed every T and dotted every I. We're greatly appreciative of her. We'd also like to thank Sergeant Mike Crusoe and Sergeant Aaron Groves for their support of the event as well. It was really great to have presence there during the event. We had 63 signed-in vendors for the day, and I say signed-in, sometimes vendors say they're coming and then they don't, but we had 63 signed in for a Sunday afternoon. That was a kind of a rescheduled event. We were very delighted with that, especially since there was threat of weather, and we did have on and off rain. It didn't stop us from having a great event. It must have been a great event because we had 6 food trucks, and they all sold out of their food, so that made us happy, and it made them happy as well. We did have 3 television stations cover the event, as well as MLive, so we were very happy with that. As it just kind of helped us understand that we had some credibility and that there was interest in our event from the press. We were also delighted to have a representative from the governor's office present us with a proclamation in recognition of Pride Month. It was Anna Kuhl from the, I want to get this right, she's the Community Engagement Specialist from the Executive Office of Governor Whitmer, so we were delighted to have that as well. We want to thank the city parks, we want to thank Public Works, and we will be sending forth our request for 2025. We would encourage you to approve that event for us, and we would also encourage you to attend the 7th Annual Pride Festival downtown. We would be delighted to give you time on stage should you wish to address the group there. We plan to have, again, another wonderful event for the 7th Annual. But thank you in gratitude. I hope you know that we do appreciate the fact that you approved our event.
Mr. John C. King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John King, 203 3rd Street here in the city. The first thing I was wanting to know if there could be a update done for the T.A. Wilson School, if the city's dumped it off on residents in action yet, or what the status is of that. I kind of wanted to talk about the lies of the left, which includes the media and Democrats. Going back to Councilmember Connor Wood's comments, last meeting he mentioned hurricanes. We'll have more. I've come here and mentioned how if you look at the stats, we're not having more powerful hurricanes or more. This goes back to the turn of this past century and even going back to 1930. And Michigan didn't have a hurricane, so he said there was no city support of this Pride Parade. Obviously, there was all the police officers and all that the city was providing. So that's not true to say there was no support. I know it was estimated at least $1,850 worth of it was going towards the Pride Parade. I see a photo of Kelly Hoover there, you know, the city's parks director, and, you know, basically, you know, doing the Democrat Party's, you know, shoving lifestyles down people's throat, sort of as Connor Wood would put it. You know, the city parks has had the partnership with the AARP, and where that comes from is with Derek Dobies. The AARP flew him down to North Carolina for a gathering that had sessions like a lot of LGBTQ stuff related. So again, Democrat Party, you know, the city's resources going to support Democrat Party causes. You know, there's the lies that Kamala Harris is really a middle-class person, a moderate view, political views. She's actually from Berkeley, California. Her parents were professors at Cal Berkeley. She spent a lot of time out of the country as a teenager. So Tim Walz, her partner, lies about, you know, his military service, a DUI. He said this joke. Someone made up a joke about sex with a couch that he repeated. He knew it wasn't true, and it was kind of disgusting. So hopefully the media will get the truth. Maybe Kamala Harris will actually do some interviews, and maybe we'll see something tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
John Light.
Good evening, folks. John Light. I live out in Pleasant Lake, north end of the county. Nice invocation tonight, Ms. Gunn, and that's one of the things that I was going to touch on is the last meeting that we had in these chambers right here. And I do know we have a couple newcomers right here, and it never ceases to amaze me whether I agree with the stuff that comes out of some of the people's mouths that come up here, or whether I don't agree, but you just never know what you're going to get. I don't say that's right, I don't say that wrong, but I could see that some of the discussion last week on a few things in public comment right there, I don't know if upsetting was the correct word, but just watching some of the body language, I don't know, upsetting might be a harsh word, maybe something a little less than that, but you just never know what you're going to get. The other thing that I was wanted to touch on is the only reason, Mr. Wood, that was, I thought you did the right thing last week there, sir. Mr. Mahoney, you might have missed out on an opportunity there because you're going to need some votes from Leone Township, so I don't know if you treated them fairly. The thing that bugged me so much about that is this was a situation on that Leone taxable marijuana money. This was a situation where the government actually created the problem. That was the clerk, the supervisor, and the treasurer, okay? They took it upon themselves to take that tax money and give themselves a raise. Well, it was the four trustees that were actually the solution to that problem because they brought it forth and they told them, the other three that were involved, hey, you need to give that money back. When they said no, that's when the recall effort started. I have a personal friend of mine was the trustee then. He's no longer a trustee now, and I know that he appreciated the apology from you, sir. And then lastly, I did hear some mention about RIA, and the last thing that I recall right here is Ms. Carter was up here in June, and some of you were worried about what the timeline was going to be and this and that, the closing date and whatnot. And at the June meeting, she told you that she was going to be back in July and that she was going to have a report on the last homeless shelter that they ran at T.A. Wilson, which ended March 31st. I don't know if there's been a report made public or if there's a report out there. I know they filed one the last time when they did the hotel package, so I certainly am interested in seeing what that report says. And she also said that they'd have some information on, at minimum, a purchase agreement, let alone a development agreement. So July went by, August, September. So I too am also, and some of the taxpayers are probably interested what's going on with T.A. Wilson School. So maybe somebody, anybody, if you got a little update on that, that might be helpful. Thank you.
Brenda Humphrey.
Hi, good evening. I spoke last month, and I was against the Pride Parade for various reasons. And at the end of the meeting, is it Angelita, how you pronounce it? She'd made a comment, which we can't always agree on everything. But anyway, I called her, and she called me back, and I really appreciate that. And her and I had a very nice discussion. Thank you so much for calling me, because we can't always agree on everything, but that's what we want to hear. It's just, if someone addresses something, call us back and let's talk further or whatever. So anyway, and like my point back then was what people decide to do in their home, the privacy of their home is their own business. I just think we don't need to parade it on the streets, our sexuality. It's just, it's a private thing. But the other reason I'm here is because I say vote no on the library renewal. And the reason is two reasons. Number one, they're going after our children again. I was sent a note from a friend showing that they're doing this reading and watching this book and movie thing about the Rainbow Club for our children. Why didn't Liz mention that when she was up here giving her proposal last month? That, leave our kids out of this. People make their own choices as adults, what they want to do. Our kids are innocent. And another thing I'm saying no for the proposal is the county pays the library $37,500 a month. That comes out to $450,000 a year the library's getting from the county. Why do we need a renewal? So that's just my question, my take on it, and thank you very much.
Nick Thurston.
Good evening. My name is Nicholas Thurston. I want to speak during the citizen comments tonight about a few things. People have really good questions about the RIA project. I remember the city attorney said this is a weeks, not months. We'll be at the signing table soon, and the deal will be sealed. They'll pay $150,000 for the building, which was voted on by this council against the public will, but the will of the people. But still, they voted yes on it anyways. Now they're paying $1 a month for the property, as far as I know, and still, here we are. Months have gone by, and the deal's not sealed. If they're not purchasing the building, then there needs to be some sort of action here at City Hall to shut down the partnership or the lease or something. But it definitely it's unfortunate that we were lied to about that partnership or project, but it is what it is. During that project, people's rights were discriminated. I know many people from the Fifth Ward neighborhood tried to speak out or sort of intervene to encourage the contractors to do the right thing. Unfortunately, nobody was able to reason with them, and they just continuously doubled down on their discriminatory philosophies and business practices. We saw that in other businesses that those people worked for or board members are influential over. And then we saw that again in RIA. And now we see them during some of the Jackson School Board meetings calling everybody white supremacists and racist. People that have not made any racist comments that are just happen to be born into a white body are now being labeled white supremacists. I think that's completely unfair and inappropriate and does not represent the people that live here very well. It doesn't represent me as a person. And as a student, I was a JPS student my whole life, and extremely disappointing. I went to schools that were all mixed race. I still have pictures to this day of me and my friends, and everybody looked a little bit different, but that was not what mattered. If you were a kid and you liked the Red Wings or the Lions or the Tigers or the Pistons, that was basically what made you normal. Did you have a bike or a skateboard? That was how we sort of got along. There was no identity-based discrimination in our class of 1990 and 2008 graduates. But yeah, there's so much stuff to go over, and I don't have very much time. People are right to say vote no against the library millage. Absolutely support that. They are targeting children. The City Hall has been directly involved with the Pride organizations. You and your wife were directly involved with that. There was no Pride events before you came here. Derek Dobies, there's, numerous news articles, so I don't want to lie. And the Pride organizations
you.
have donated to your wife's campaign.
Thank you. Christy Davis.
Good evening, Christy. Good evening, Christy Davis, 6124 4th Street. On my meeting with residents in the 5th Ward, since I'm running to be one of you, hopefully in November, I've had a really rough last week meeting with people. Nobody's been mean or nasty or yelling, just sharing what they're dealing with in their hearts of their stuff has been really incredibly difficult. So I'm really hoping that I can make a difference. But I had one special stop today, and I'm just wondering if, I know you guys can't respond, but someone behind me, if anybody can guess where this place is in Jackson, I'm just going to read off a list of things. Roaches and mice running rampant. I could actually, as I was walking down the hall, I could hear something large, something, not a little something, a big something, scratching behind a piece of plywood that was covering a hole in the wall. There are needles everywhere. There is poop, urine, blood, and snot on walls and carpet, in the hallways and in laundry rooms of these buildings. The elevators, one elevator works, one does not. The exit signs are ripped off the walls and hanging down. There are missing fire extinguishers, and the ones that are there, the place where they go in the wall, whatever, the fire extinguisher house, is all like ashes and poop and really gross. Cameras have been removed from one area to another area to save money. There are no screens on most of the windows. The windows on the first floor are locked in the laundry room, so if there's a fire, those people are not able to get out if they're in that room. On the second floor, they're actually, in one of the buildings, they're actually able to climb onto a roof, and then those windows are unlocked, and there's no screens, so then they can just get on in there and use their drugs. The apartment doors themselves are unlabeled, so if the fire department or the police department has to get in there, nobody's going to know where they're going. There are holes in the doors. You can tell on the sides of the doors that the doors have all been jimmied open and broken into. There is screaming and yelling, running up and down the halls day and night. Security is only there for a few hours. The laundry rooms are covered in those gross things. The washers and dryers don't work. Broken intercom system, broken locks going inside from outside. They're locked out of rooms for them to use, social rooms, trash rooms, bathrooms, computer labs, and laundry rooms. There has been beatings, stabbings, shootings, and gang rapes in this home area, making and selling drugs, graffiti. I can go on, but my time is done. But this is Reed Manor.
Thank you,
so
Christy.
I'm hoping we can fix it.
Chris Davis.
Good evening, Council. My name is Chris Davis. I live on North Brown Street. This past weekend, I took the opportunity to join the MLK CIA in cleaning up the MLK corridor, and in just a few hours, we were able to fill a 40-yard dumpster completely. But I saw something a lot bigger that day. I saw leaders from all over our county set aside our differences and do something to work together for the community. And I just imagine what kind of progress we could make if all of our governing bodies acted like that, with that same unity and purpose in rooms like this and not just out in the community doing events. Tonight I want to express something I don't hear in this room very often, and that is a simple thank you to our elected officials. As I've pursued an elected office myself this year, attending almost all of our local governing meetings, aiming to learn by observing at these meetings, I've grown to appreciate this particular body of governance for your dedication, and while we may disagree, we do so with grace, respect, and dignity. But make no mistake, though, we will continue to hold our elected officials accountable for transparency. One area that the city could improve on is being more responsive. I've sent numerous inquiries over the last couple of months, and I've only ever gotten one response from anybody. So that's across multiple different departments. And then I'll just leave with service is a sacrifice, and I'm only beginning to really understand its depth. To those who come to this podium just to complain, exercise your right, but don't stop there. If you believe you can make a difference, step up and run for an office. Offer real solutions. Empty complaints change nothing. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Thank you.
Council, make sure you refresh your screen so that way when it's time to vote, the proper tools will pop up for you. That concludes citizens' comment at this time. Brings us down to the consent calendar. Looking for a motion and support on the consent calendar.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, I would like to pull items E and item G for discussion, please. Thank you.
C and G. All right. Right. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing or hearing none, clerk will tally and display the vote. All right, then that brings us back around to item E. Looking for a motion and support so we can start discussion on the item. Item is to receive and place on file a draft of the 2023-2024 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Motion. Ooh, second.
It's been moved and supported. Shalonda, did you want to start discussion on the item?
Yes, yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a couple questions. I understand that this is a draft, and it talks about, some of the content talks about some funding being set aside for homelessness activities, and I was just wondering if you could give some context behind what that entails.
Corey's going to come up and tell you what he meant by that.
I appreciate the question. Thank you. So this is the CAPER, as we call it. We submit it every year in the fall. The section Councilwoman Hunt is referencing is pages 15 through 17, and that's the section on homelessness. There's a couple pieces of kind of information to share. One, in the current 5-year plan, which we are, this CAPER covers year 4, we do not have a set aside of CDBG or home funds for homeless prevention. So you're going to notice that data on funding from the typical HUD sources is light because when this 5-year plan was developed, no funding was set aside for those purposes. So what we choose to do in this section then is highlight the work that the city does to prevent homelessness in the other areas where we do set aside funds for that. So you're going to notice a section there that talks about ARPA funding that was for the homeless hotel project last winter. And we mentioned Residents in Action in there. And then there's also some conversation in there about home ARP funding. That's money that this council has approved for 3 different purposes. One, the construction of transitional rental housing for what are called qualifying populations. HUD set those out as 4 different groups of populations that are either homeless currently or greatly at risk of homelessness. And so if you remember, you allocated funding for King's Homes and Welcome Home organization to construct 2 homes each for 4 total. I think that was in June of this year. So, and then the second piece of that would be rehabbing existing homes again to prevent homelessness. And then there's a 3rd budget in there for some additional activities that have not yet been identified. So that's kind of the home ARP bucket.
these funds? Would any of this be allocated toward that?
At this point, the funding that will be used for homeless prevention is that home art funding, but I have not been part of a discussion, at least at this point, that discusses an extension of homeless hotel programs. If those discussions come to pass, I'm certainly happy to be in that room and help with whatever council directs.
Thank you.
The direct answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
He said it much more concisely than I did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions on this item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote.
Would you do go out?
Madam Clerk, I think that the vote that is appearing is the same vote that we took to approve the consent calendar already. I think the motion on the floor was to approve item E.
There we go.
Yeah.
Item passes unanimous, and that brings us down to item G. Looking for a motion and support pursuant to the City of Jackson addressing policy to conduct a public hearing on September 24th, 2024 regarding the proposed street naming of Milwaukee Street to Carl Breeding Way.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Councilmember Hunt, do you want to start discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just thought it would be important to inform our community, those that are recently members of our City of Jackson, about who Carl Breeding is, the legacy that he left in our community, and why it's important that we have this on the agenda for tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's actually a resolution being drafted that will have many of those details in there that'll be presented at the public hearing. And definitely read in full, but in light, I think there's many things that can be said. But would like to start by deferring to First Ward Councilmember Robinson to ask if she would like to start by adding anything. I think she spent the most time officially with Carl Breeding and probably could start the conversation on that piece pretty well.
All right, thank you so much. Wasn't prepared for this, and there is a lot. But Mr. Carl Breeding served on this council for 12 years, I know. He also was quite dedicated to the movement back in the 50s and 60s, as this city, state, as we went through the movement and with changes to the rights for people of color, in any type of right. I don't want to just label him that he was just about color, but Carl did so much. He also served the NAACP on the state level, and I don't remember the number of years, but we had a big celebration about that. But he was quite dedicated to making a difference here in the City of Jackson. He also was a math teacher for Jackson Public Schools. He did a lot of tutoring even after his retirement. He was just very engaged in this community, and the history, there's so much of it. I'm certain that his daughter could probably share a lot of that history, but he did gather a lot of information over his years, and he served this community as long as I can remember. So, you know, quite engaged, very deserving of this honor, and you know, I'm glad it's it's back before us, because I really think that it should be something that we take a look at. And I don't know, I'm all over the place, but, you know, he was really dedicated and involved in everything that I can think of.
That was very, very on par. So I pulled a list up while you were doing that, because I can't just go off the top of my mind. You were there for a lot of that stuff.
I was.
I'll start with this because I'm not no hater, but he was a member of Omega Psi Phi. He could have been an Alpha, but he chose differently. I'm not mad at him for that, but we had a lot of discussion about that. He's a veteran, served the country. He was a math teacher, alumni of the year at University of Indianapolis. Was on city council, like you said, for 12 years, from 97 to 2012. He was named one of 30 most influential Jackson citizens of the century by the Jackson Citizen Patriot newspaper in 1999. He was vice mayor from 2009 to 2012. He was in the Who's Who of Black America. I mean, that is a person from Jackson, Michigan, who was named Who's Who in Black America, not Black Jackson, not Black Michigan, Black America. He was president of the NAACP, the Michigan Conference, not the Jackson County branch, but of the Michigan Conference, and he also sat on the National Board of Directors for NAACP. This is on a personal side, is probably a person who asked me the most profound question when I returned to the city of Jackson. And he asked me, "What are you doing?" And at the time, I thought, and this is just like a part of my story, I tell everybody this. I pulled up to my aunt's house where he was at and jumped out, small talk, chapped him about being an Omega. I was fresh out of college, so it was just on my mind. I seen that Omega tag on the front of his car. I'm like, "Uncle Carl, what are you doing with that on your car?" And we joked about that, and then he got real serious, and he said, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, man, I'm just coming over to visit and visit Auntie and see how you guys is doing." And, you know, he said, "Okay, that's good, but what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm working. You know, I'm working and, you know, just coming to see you guys." He said, "Okay, but like, what are you doing?" And then he said, "You know what? Don't worry about it, because you'll get it. Don't worry about it." And that conversation stuck in my mind, because I knew I returned to Jackson for a purpose. Didn't know exactly what that purpose was. No, I wanted to make a difference. But that was one of the most profound questions, because he was asking me, what am I doing for this community? What am I doing to make a difference? What am I doing with my life? And that is how he carried himself. You know, it's funny, someone else I ran into recently and was enlightening them that we are seeking to make this change to a street name. And he said, "Man, he is the person who inspired me to be able to do well in math. I never met a black math teacher until I ran into him." And I think an individual like that deserves to have an imprint on history moving forward, so future generations can ask that exact question: who is Carl Breeding, and why is his street named after him? So that they can be inspired to contribute to this community in the same way that he did. Any other comments?
I'll add just one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
That sticks with me. Of course, he served in this position that I'm in, the same seat. But one thing I will always remember about Mr. Breeding is that he would give you or help you understand anything that you showed interest in. When I say that, he knew I had some interest in this position. He knew I had some interest in being the president of the NAACP. And I just want to say that he would tell you use me up was one of his things. He said, get all you can get from me as far as the knowledge, what the know-how, and he really meant that. Because if I had a question about anything, he would lead me to it, but he expected me to do my own research, my own workup, and then he would correct me if I was wrong. So I got many emails from him after NAACP meetings saying this and that. So he's telling me what I did right and what I did wrong, you know. So he just wanted to give you everything that he possibly could give you to help you grow in whatever your interest was in, and he shared it. And I just always remember that he would give you all the knowledge that you possibly would need for any services that you wanted to provide to this community. So he was quite a warrior and will always be remembered.
Seeing or hearing no other comments, Madam Clerk will tally and display the vote. And item passes unanimous. That takes care of our consent agenda. We have no other business. Brings us down to new business. Looking for a motion and support to approve the payment of the invoice from Region 2 Planning Commission for local share costs of the Jackson Area Comprehensive Transportation Study, or JATS, for another acronym for you to remember, Unified Work Program for fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $27,883 in accordance with the recommendation of the city engineer, and authorize the city engineer to sign the local funding resolution.
So move.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, clerk will tally and display the vote. Item B, looking for a motion and support for an amendment, approval of Amendment 2 to the 23-001 Major Street Engineering Contract with Rowe Professional Services Company of Flint, Michigan, at a not-to-exceed cost of $36,430.88. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous, brings us down to item C. Looking for a motion and support to receive the engineer's report for street reconstruction on Pearl Street from Cooper Street to Waterloo Avenue, and establish October 22nd, 2024 at the City Council meeting as the time and place to hold a public hearing of necessity.
Support.
It's moved and supported. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, has the members been informed about this happening on their street?
I think that's what this public hearing is for, so they'll be noticed that there's a public hearing and what that public hearing is for, and then we would open that opportunity for feedback at the public hearing on the 22nd.
I think my question was any mailing, anything sent to them?
We
I
have to
know
approve this.
after this vote.
Yeah.
Understood.
Any additional questions? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. And the item passes unanimous, brings us down to item D. Looking for a motion and support to approve change order 1 to the Oak Ridge Drive reconstruction contract with Concord Excavating and Grading Incorporated in the decreased amount of $25,618.08 to balance the contract quantities. Oh, it's okay.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. We love it when it goes down.
Yes.
Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous. Brings us down to item E. Looking for a motion and support to approve change order 1 to the MLK Equality Trail Reconstruction Optimist Shelter to West Avenue contract with Anland Corporation Incorporated in the increased amount of $9,852.56 to balance the contract quantities to match the quantities placed in the field.
So moved.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous. Brings us down to item F. Looking for a motion and support to approve the first renewal of their 2023 HMA patching contract with Bailey Excavating of Jackson in the estimated amount of $220,936.93 and authorization for the manager and city clerk to execute the appropriate documents.
So moved.
Support.
Oh, city clerk, excuse me, and mayor. Yes, I said mayor. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item?
I have a quick question on that. So does this include the coal patch? Is that what the coal patch is when you can?
No, this is to properly mill and remove and to patch sections on 8 different streets and different various. It's not cold patch, pothole patching. This is actual milling out the old asphalt and putting on some new stuff properly.
Okay.
Do we need to, we can talk later, I guess, if you have some.
Yeah, it can be after this. This, it's just, there was coal patch done on High Street the other week.
Oh, that's, yeah, okay. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous, brings us down to item G. Looking for a motion and support to approve a resolution to enter into a contract with the MDOC, or excuse me, with MDOT, for bridge reconstruction and transmission water main replacement on Cooper Street from Washington Avenue to Michigan Avenue.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, clerk will tally and display the vote. All right, item passes unanimous. Brings us down to item H. Looking for a motion and support to approve the contract award for site access construction and manhole repairs to make ready for the upcoming cleaning and televising of North Interceptor Sewer to Taplin Group LLC of Kalamazoo at a cost of $383,170.39 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the appropriate documents.
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimously. And that brings us down to I. Looking for a motion and support to approve the contract award for the cleaning and televising of North Interceptor Sewer to Taplin Group LLC of Kalamazoo, Michigan, at a cost of $341,617.45, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute the appropriate documents.
So move.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the votes. Item passes unanimous. Brings us down to item J. Looking for a motion and support to approve Amendment 3 to the 23-002 Lansing Avenue Engineering Contract with Hubble Roth and Clark Incorporated of Bloomfield Hills at a not-to-exceed cost of $335,780, and authorization for the city manager and city engineer to sign appropriate documents.
So move.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, clerk will tally and display the vote. Me either.
Me either. Here it goes.
Item passes unanimous and brings us down to item K. Looking for a motion and support for approval of Amendment 2 to the 23-006 MLK Corridor Reimagined Engineering Contract with Hubble Roth and Clark Incorporated of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, at a not-to-exceed cost of $318,810, and authorization for the city manager and city engineer to sign the appropriate documents.
So move.
Support and motion, and any discussion on the item?
Could we get a little background on this, what this is?
Yeah, Troy can do it. Wait, can I just say one thing? City Engineer Troy White, can you answer this question?
Oh, yay.
Yep, push it down.
Okay, there we go. So this is, when we do the MLK project, corridor project, we're going to be doing a lot of utility upgrades, and included in that is going to be replacing some transmission main. Transmission water mains are those large water mains that move water from the plant to the tanks and to the different neighborhoods. They're not the water mains that put water to people's houses. These are the big guys that move it out. We're going to be replacing the transmission water main and putting one up Martin Luther King Drive. And then we're also, previously, we approved the resolution for the contract at the bridge over the Cooper Street Bridge over the river. We're going to be replacing the transmission there with that opportunity. And what we're looking here is to do some engineering to connect those two pieces. We're taking advantage of the opportunities we have on both of those other two projects. We need to put them together to really capitalize on that. This is not for the construction of that water main. This is for engineering it and getting it ready to put out to bid.
So is this going to be fully paid with what we have there, or are we looking at?
This would be paid for with water funds.
Okay.
Okay. Seeing and hearing no additional questions, Madam Clerk will tally and display the vote.
I know, Mike keeps doing it. Keeps turning.
Item passes unanimously. And hang on, I lost my screen right quick. Brings us down to item L. Looking for a motion and support to approve change order 1 to the Blakely Avenue reconstruction contract with Bailey Excavating Incorporated in the decreased amount of $47,524.74 to balance the contract quantities.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous. Brings us down to item M. Looking for a motion and support for approval of proposed rezoning and map amendment of 604 Page Avenue and 612 Page Avenue from C4 general commercial to R4 high-density apartment and office, as recommended by the City of Jackson Planning Commission on August 7th, 2024.
So move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item?
Mr. Mayor, what do we anticipate will evolve on these two parcels? What's the new idea with these two parcels, the changes that are coming?
Mr. City Manager, talk to us about these two parcels.
I mean, I made the motion at the planning commission meeting, I don't even remember. I'm reading it, like, oh, Commissioner Gray, who's that? What it is I think it is to allow, actual permitted housing on the property. I think right now, if I recall correctly, it may have like an apartment in a commercial building. I think if I remember correctly, or a commercial looking type building, and they want to put housing there. So it makes it less intensive use, but allows for multifamily housing.
I think that's my recollection from the meeting, now that you jogged my memory. I think there's something about somebody owns these parcels and wants to turn them into like a couple basically like stacked duplexes, I think is one of the visions that they're looking at.
Like two-story duplex housing, so let's create
Which,
housing.
which you can't do in a commercial, but you could, and the neighborhood.
Is residential.
We're doing what it should be, and we're moving away from what it probably hasn't been for a while.
It's been empty for a long time, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because they couldn't use it the way they wanted to use it,
Okay.
so.
That's exciting.
I think there's something also about setbacks because it's on like a triangular,
Yes. It's a very odd location.
Okay, seeing or hearing no other comments, Madam Clerk will tally and display the vote. If you'll proceed with a voice vote, please.
Mayor Mahoney,
Yes.
Councilmember Robinson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dancy,
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn,
Yes.
Councilmember Wood,
yes.
Councilmember Hunt.
Yes.
Councilmember Forgrave.
Sounds unanimous to me. Brings us down to item N. Looking for a motion and support to buy some police cars in the amount of $143,304.
So moved.
It's been moved, and we'll take one as a motion, a support. Any discussion on the item?
Jonathan, Mr. Mayor, or Mr. City Manager, I know that recently we had a situation where we had to go to a second type of vehicle because these were not available. Are we kind of back on the supply chain for these ones?
Back on the supply chain with Ford, the vehicles we prefer. Yep.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, indeed. Seeing or hearing no other questions, clerk will tally and display the vote. And passes 6-1.
When we need one, we'll get one. We're not gonna buy one just because.
And that brings us down to item O. Looking for a motion and support to approve purchase of firefighter turnout gear.
So move.
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
I've got for my own education, this is a single bid because every fire department in Michigan has to get this from the same supplier. Did I read that right in the packet?
Even. Well, I'll let Chief Tim answer that one.
Yes, this is the brand that we use, and so it's a sole source from that brand.
Okay, thank you.
You buried the lead, though. How much is the city paying for these?
It's 100% funded by the state. It's a state grant. For
So moved. So moved.
Item's been moved and supported. Hearing or seeing no further discussion, clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous, brings us down to item P. Looking for a motion and support to receive and place on file a draft of the substantial amendment 1 to the 2024-2025 annual action plan and establish a public hearing on September 24th, 2024.
So move.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Seeing or hearing none, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous. Brings us down to item Q. Looking for a motion and support to receive and place on file a draft of the substantial amendment number 7 to the 2019 and 2020 annual action plan and to establish a public hearing on September 24th, 2024.
So move.
Moved and supported. Any discussion on the item?
Where are substantial amendments 2 through 6?
Right.
Wait, what?
We just voted on Amendment 1, and there's one on Amendment 7. Are we not ready on?
I can answer, I think I can answer for recording without screwing this up too much. They're different HUD years. So the first one is.
That's say no more. Yeah, thank you. That makes sense.
HUD years like a dog year, just worse.
Seeing or hearing no other discussion, the clerk will tally and display the vote. Item passes unanimous. And that brings us down to council member comments. Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to welcome our guests who our DDA director brought. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I know this is not the most exciting way to spend a Tuesday night. Sometimes we have more exciting business, but tonight was a lot of the really boring but important work of kind of most of what we do, which is that's democracy. Sometimes there's a presidential debate. Sometimes it's just we're doing paperwork by committee for a little over an hour. So thank you guys for coming. I appreciate it, and thank you, Director Kuiper, for bringing them. I know that we had some remarks about Reed Manor. The Jackson Housing Commission has control over Reed Manor. Those board meetings, I don't know if anybody in the room has had a chance to attend those, but those are the third Wednesday of each month at 4 o'clock at Reed Manor. That body has jurisdiction over not just Reed Manor, but also Shahan Blackstone in my ward, and I believe the Chalet Terrace in the first ward. That's something that I think is really important. I'm not satisfied with the, I do not believe that those facilities are up to the standard that they should be. We've got a new executive director over there who has been there for not very long, but long enough that I'm expecting to see some improvements pretty quickly here. And it's going to be one that, my constituents at Shahan, I think, deserve just as much respect and dignified housing as everybody else. So I appreciate folks who are working toward that for our residents at Reed Manor too. We had a visitor ask about why the library needs a millage if they're getting $450,000 a year from the county. I believe that the operating budget for the library is a little over $10 million a year. So the county funding is a little less than 5%. A 95% cut would, I think, be pretty difficult. I also have to, again, push back against the pretty tired and repeated lies from our visitors who continue to spread falsehoods implying that children are at risk because of the existence and visibility of LGBTQ people. I will say again what I've said before, and which everybody up in this dais knows, and I think most of the people in the room and most of the people in the community know, which is that kind of rhetoric is false, it is baseless, and it contributes to an atmosphere of ignorance and hatred that has unfortunately, and God forbid could again, lead to violence in the form of individual abuse or, unfortunately in this country, some kind of mass violent attack. We also know as a fact that most children who are abused not by a stranger, but by somebody in their household, somebody in their family, somebody who they trust. And we also know that the number one best thing that we can do to protect our kids is to make sure that they feel safe, have more adults who they trust, who they can talk to, and make sure that our kids are educated enough to understand what may be happening to them and how to talk about it to somebody who they trust in a way that person can take action for them. Our kids are safer when they have knowledge and support within their homes, within their schools, within other places in their community. And there are people in our community and in this world who want to make our society less open, more secretive, and force people to, hide things. That, frankly, because it would make some people uncomfortable. When you hold those views about how the world should be, and when you push the world to be darker in that way, you are the ones who are making our kids less safe. You are the ones who are asking for society to be more dangerous for my kid. And I don't appreciate that. Now, I want to follow up with what I just said by offering two quotes that I really like. One from my favorite founding father, Thomas Paine, who said once, quote, "No complaint is intended or ought to be alleged against them unless they adopt the crime by opposing justice." And the second quote is shorter, which is, "A hit dog will holler." Now, finally, I want to close out by apologizing to my friend and colleague, Vice Mayor Dancy, for not fighting you as hard for the motions and seconds tonight. Just wanted to let you shine. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Wood. Councilmember Hunt.
For being present here tonight. And I too had the opportunity to participate in the MLK CIA cleanup, and it was a wonderful experience just seeing so many individuals coming together to beautify our community. Thank you to everyone that participated. And that's it for me tonight. Another good meeting.
And Councilmember Forgray.
Nothing for me tonight. Thanks.
Councilmember Robinson.
I want to thank all the youth out in the audience. It does my heart good to see young people that are interested in what we do. Certainly hoping that you all form some interest and get involved with whatever we have designated for the youth here at City Hall. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, Senator Shink, RJ Ice Cream. I had the voter youth voter education event on August 30th. And Diane Washington, no, don't want to forget her, because she volunteered to give us let us use her garden to have this event. We had quite a few youth, and a special thanks to Jackson College, because some of their youth came and made it all work and come together. So that event was very, very nice. And I think that's important, too, for youth to understand that that vote is their voice when they get to the age where they can vote. Certainly, you can register when you get a driver's license, but you can't vote till you're 18. I also I want to say that I thank the volunteers and the staff that participated in this past weekend's cleanup. I could stand at High Street and just look down the street after, because you guys were already gone when I got there. But just stand there and look at the difference that made for looking down the street as the MLK Drive cascades. So you can kind of look uphill and downhill, and it just looked beautiful. It was all cleaned up. Heard some stories. We found some things that's like, oh my God, where's the snake at? So I want to thank everyone. The dump went over well. John, we thought we weren't going to get that much, and by the end of it, we were way over, and there were still people coming. So that's another thing that we can look at to help, and I know we've got an upcoming cleanup citywide, I think, on the 28th. So thanks to all, and I appreciate you, because that's my area, that's my ward, and even I had a little bit of a cleanup, and I want to thank Mike. Am I saying it right? Mike, oh geez. Osborne, because he got people on that. The ladies, they talked me to death, but it was a good talk, and I got a chance to walk and talk to the neighbors and hear their complaints. And John Osborne had people there almost before I could get there. So they were able to do a few things, and just a block up from my home. So thank you to the staff for all that you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Dancy.
Thank you. Peace out. Good night.
We're not done yet.
You done?
I have a
Councilmember
speech
Angelica
that I
Gunn.
prepared for this evening. No, I just want to say, Corey, great job on Sunday. I hear you had 100 people show up at that open house. And I, much to my chagrin, I double booked myself and completely forgot until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, wait, I was supposed to be there. But anyway, I heard it was a great success and so much buzz out there about 100 homes. So great job.
Okay. Councilmember Wood, you said those Jackson Housing Commission meetings are the third Wednesday of every month at noon, correct?
It may be noon. I was informed that it was 4 o'clock, but if you're telling
4
me it's
o'clock?
noon, then
It's no. I'm asking.
yeah, it's 4 o'clock.
Great. So you kind of took the words out of my mouth on that, and believe me, the same concerns that were mentioned tonight are not going unnoticed. And I do hate to say this, unfortunately, they're not new concerns. These have been prevalent on that property and many other properties in many other areas of the community for a long time. But I appreciate those concerns being brought to council and being made public, that they are a concern. But I think that the Housing Commission Board of Directors needs community support to push that narrative to the powers that be, so that they can get the resources that they need to mitigate those problems, have better security, have better lighting, hopefully at some point renovate all 3 of those properties for the betterment of the citizens who are just trying to live there, and get rid of the bad actors who are making that those properties the way that they are right now. I don't want to catch y'all off guard right now, but for our guests from the DDA, you don't have to come to the podium because I'm not going to put y'all on blast like that. But would you just stand and introduce yourselves for us really quick? Thank you. Don't be so shy. Okay. Okay. Well, I just wanted to acknowledge you. Say your names one more time for me. Javay and Anaya. Thank you guys both for being here. I hope that this turns into a lifelong career for you in some form or fashion, right? And it's funny, but this is what happens. Y'all can sit down. Y'all don't have to stay in the whole time. I just wanted to properly acknowledge y'all. But these experiences are times that will help shape your entire future, and also hopefully it will spark an interest for you to be civically engaged as an adult as well, because we need more young people to be involved in this process earlier, so that way it's natural for when they turn 18, they say, you know what, I'm going to make sure I go vote because I want to make sure that individuals that I heard say the craziest things when I had the opportunity to attend those city council meetings, we want to make sure that we keep people like that out of office. Or it may be the opposite. I want to make sure that I get that person elected into office, and we need young people like you guys to be able to do that and also learn about the work and the opportunities that can be involved outside of just being an elected official that exist in government. So I appreciate you guys both for being here, and Beth for the opportunity for them to be here. And I know y'all had a long day because I saw y'all walking downtown today with Beth, and that was like around like 1 o'clock, maybe a little earlier, around noon today. So I know y'all had a long day, and we get ready to get up out of here. Just wanted to properly acknowledge you guys. The Ward 1 cleanup was great. It's always a good time to see communities come together for a common cause and a common goal. It's a time where you see people put aside their differences, like what was mentioned earlier today, just to be able to serve and give back to the community. And it's just, it's always a beautiful thing to see. And the 100 Homes project continues to be like when I tell you guys, it is something that is being watched across the state. I truly, truly mean it is being watched across the state. I think that we have some rock star individuals on our staff who have provided us in the community with a phenomenal idea to build back Jackson's neighborhoods. And we're not just talking about it, we're doing it. I continue to say that when I went to the state of the state and heard the governor say, you know, we keep talking about affordable housing and we can't get rent rates to be lowered, so guess what we're going to do? We're going to build, baby, build. And I was sitting there, I'm like, we already building, and we got the blueprint, and I truly believe that, and I truly mean that, and I just thank the staff for the continuous work to give exposure to that program and that opportunity in and around the community. I hate to end on a low note, a sad note, but I'm a transparent person, y'all, and my heart been heavy the entire day. It's been a roller coaster of a day for several reasons. I have a lot going on outside of here, but this is an important job. But in times like this, I feel like it's a great opportunity to just once again remind us that it's so much more to these moments. And like, yep, this is important work. But we do this work for people. and people are so important, man. And one of the brightest lights that I have ever been able to come across is preparing to make her transition. And when I say this individual just lights up a room, you know that saying, like, dance like nobody is watching. She would dance like nobody's watching, don't care. She had the ability to bring people together, and her phrase that everybody knows her by is "Catch me living." And I just want to send a personal shout out to the family of Melissa Harvey, because my heart goes out to the situation that they're facing right now. It is truly unbelievable to me that someone so full of life is going to just be gone from this community. And they don't make people like her very often. And she deserved just a few minutes for me to just recognize her in this moment, because moments like this helps me stay grounded and remember that, this work is important. These times, these things that I'm involved in are important, but the reason why we do it is even more important, and that's the people who we serve. And I'm connected to so many people, and this is a loss that will be remembered forever. But her energy and her love, and the way she stood up for people, and the way she spoke and poured into people and just shared love, is something that I will carry with me forever. And that will conclude my comments. Mr. City Manager.
Nothing for me tonight.
This time I'll be looking for a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Support.
Supported. See y'all in 2 weeks.